Hello, my name is Professor Christopher Dent. I'm at the University of Leeds and I'm the author of Routledge's Renewable Energy in East Asia Towards a New Developmentalism. My last book with Routledge, Taylor and Francis was Renewable Energy in East Asia Towards a New Developmentalism, which came out in December 2014. And I've always been interested in renewable energy. The book looks at why East Asia has become the most important producer and consumer of renewable energy in the world, and how this fits into the region's broader attempts to achieve lower carbon development. So if I was to summarize the book in one sentence is, why has East Asia become the world's largest producer and consumer of renewable energy? And what paths lay ahead for renewable energy development in East Asia in the future? Yeah, renewable energy is an increasingly studied field from various academic disciplines, in fact. I'm an international political economist, but there are also scholars who work in energy science, engineering science, international relations, business, politics, political science, who will be interested in this book, and not just academics, I'm hoping. Also policymakers and research think tank analysts, and of course students as well, hopefully, who will read the book in the future. So I would call myself an international political economist. I trained in economics, but got a bit frustrated with economics in trying to explain some of the real economic problems that face humanity in the 21st century. And I became interested in East Asia because I thought it was going to make more impact than any other region in the world in the 21st century. But I'm quite multidisciplinary, I would say, in my approach. So history to me is very important, trying to understand where these long-term development trends have occurred, where are they going in the future. Politics is very important as well, of course, if you want to understand the way in which business and economic development happens in East Asia. And I've been at Leeds University now for the last 13 years. Before that I was at Hull University. Well, I published about 5 or 6 books for Routledge. In fact, my very first book, the European Economy, the Global Context, published in 1997, was my very first book that I got published. And it's been a great experience, I have to say. I have worked with a number of people at Routledge, and they've all been very, very supportive and understanding as well of what academics have to go through when they develop and publish a book. So yes, it's been a very positive experience. The process of writing a book, I would say, is quite similar to going on quite a long expedition, charting new territory, a bit like how James Cook used to do in the Pacific Ocean, how he used to have to chart new territories found. And writing a book, I think, is actually quite similar to that. It's a long expedition you go on. Sometimes you're not sure how long it's going to take. Other times you're not sure what you're going to find and whether your expectations will be met or not. But when you finish the journey, it's an extremely rewarding process when you see all the different strands of your work come together and cohere around one bound volume of pages, neatly typed, with very nice presentations and diagrams and so on. It's a really, really rewarding experience and feeling, and it's one I will, I guess, never tire of. So the question of what draws me to East Asia and also the subjects that I teach is a very good one, I think. First of all, East Asia to me is a very diverse, dynamic place, which, from an economist's point of view, is absolutely endlessly fascinating to study. It's not just because it's significant globally, but it's also because of the very different sets of countries and cultures and societies you find in East Asia, and how also the modern and the historic or traditional interact with each other, and what that produces in terms of study outcomes or things to study. So I started off actually studying Europe. That was my first kind of book project. But then I became interested in the relationship between Europe and East Asia, and that was the subject of my second book. The subjects which I study, trade, development, regionalism, renewable energy, the reason why I'm interested in these are because I think they will increasingly shape the 21st century world in which we live. And, of course, how East Asia will be a very important factor in shaping that world as well. And I'm interested in how these things interrelate. So development, trade, energy, environment. These are really very much, to me, at the core of the challenges facing humanity today and for the next few years, decades ahead. So I'm actually currently writing another book for Routledge. This is the second edition of my East Asian regionalism book that came out in 2008, first edition that being. And I found that actually there's a lot more to write in this second edition than I first thought. There's been so many changes that have occurred in East Asia's regional affairs, and how these have also interacted with global level developments. I should be completing this book in the next few months, publication hopefully in the middle of 2016, and thereafter I would like to do a book on renewable energy and trade, which will combine my two core interests together, and of course still focused on East Asia. Another project which I may be interested in developing is Asia and the Northern Sea Route, looking at how Asian countries, Japan, China, South Korea, Singapore, and so on, we'll be looking at the long-term development of the Northern Sea Route, which is the shortest maritime route between Europe and Asia, which goes over the top of Russia.